Welcome, everybody, to Summit Stories. If you're new here, this is a podcast where we kind of have entrepreneurial conversations, talk about people's failures and successes and finances and all kinds of things. Today's episode is a little bit different. We're actually going to be interviewing me, and by we, I mean Josh is going to be interviewing me. I just want to say thank you real quick to everybody who's reached out to me, whether it's via text or email or in person, and gave a lot of love to the podcast. Really appreciate that. This is a bit of a passion project for Josh and I, and we really enjoy, just talking to people, getting to know people, and hear people's stories. So I'll let Josh take it away.
Yeah, so this is kind of going to be the last one in the Meet the Crew series. First we did me and then Frank, and now we're interviewing you. Yep. So what was your background kind of growing up?
Background growing up? Well, my dad always told me that he wanted me to be a contractor. He's like, you're going to build homes. And I'm like, nah, that's not for me. I don't want to do that, I remember getting my first job at the movie theater. And that to this day was one of my favorite jobs, being able to go to work and as a kid getting free movies and free popcorn and free soda and free snacks. It was just the best. But I was just kind of wanted to do more and make more money and just kind of level up in a sense. And so that led me to working other jobs and getting into commercial cleaning, which, led me to a job working security. And my boss hired me on. He's like, listen, man, you got a position, but it's not going to be open for 2 weeks, but I own a construction company. Could you fill the gap and work over there for a couple weeks? And I was like, yeah, what's the pay? And he's like, it's $2 more an hour than security. I'm like, shoot, why would I do security when I can make more money painting? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that was just what set me on the path, among other things. But
it's kind of funny. Ever since I've known you, you've always said, if you could do a job that would pay you enough, you would do movie theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. If the movie theater paid enough money, I probably would have worked there for the rest of my life. That was so much fun, just being able to meet people and just kind of, I don't know, you're at a part where people are either having a bad day or a good day, you know what I mean? It's like working service, working at a coffee stand. It's you have in that moment, even though you're only selling tickets, but you have in that moment, the power to make someone's day good or make someone's day bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
how do you think we have that in the contractor space?
I would say probably when it comes, when you're talking to anybody in marketing out in public and just meeting people, but I would say definitely when it comes to an emergency situation, whether there's rot repair in somebody's home.
Yeah.
And obviously you can get, you can make their day worse or better depending on if you're giving bad news or not. But I also think it comes in your confidence. If you're like, oh, dude, I don't know, this is a big deal. We're going to have to turn on a lot. This is going to be a lot of money. Or if you come in, you're like, hey, it's no problem. We see this a lot. We'll take care of it. We'll, tear 12 inches up on all the sheetrock, make sure there's no mold anywhere. We'll take care of it. We'll get it done. That, I feel gives the people a lot of confidence and security and safety in you.
I think that's where I kind of fall short in talking with people, because I in my brain I want to think about how to explain it to them, and it just comes off as not as confident, I think. But I think you're really good at confidently saying, hey, it's going to be like this. We're going to do this, this, and this, and you make the customer feel really happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of times where we're out on bids and I'll just inject myself and be like, yep, no, this is the answer. This is that. Because the answer, but the reality is you're trying to think of a way to explain it to them. Whereas they just want to hear that confident answer right away. And it's not that I'm just throwing something out there. I've just talked to enough people and been in enough bids and I'm just going to say yes and give you the answer straight away right up front so that you kind of
know. So I know your dad kind of talked about it with his podcast, but what was it like growing up with such a big family?
Crazy. There's a lot of us. So I remember, I won't get too deep into it, but I remember kind of growing up when I was a lot younger, and my dad was at work a lot, and so I didn't get to see him as often. But the older I got, the more time he got to spend with each of us, and the more time he was home just to spend time with the family. I remember, I feel I've kind of lived multiple different lifestyles or two different lifestyles. I remember living in Cave Junction when we first moved to town, and living off food stamps. And just not having a lot of money. And I remember my dad making, 6 figures and him test driving sports cars, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my dad always worked hard, you know what I mean? And I think he really instilled that in me. I watched him, whether we had money or no money, he went to work every day and worked hard, and I don't know, I think so much of my character building comes from those moments when we had nothing. I remember people literally coming up to my parents and giving them a check for $800 and being like, hey, I don't know why, but God put it on my heart to give you this money. Mm-hmm. And my parents crying in the car at home because they're like, wow, our bills are literally $800. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that helped and like build faith in me a lot, and like faith in Jesus, and know that he's always going to take care of things, you know?
Yeah, I think it's really cool that in moments of like despair or moments that you're really scared, it's like those are some of the biggest moments that you grow in life, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we talked about on my dad's podcast too, is like you learn a lot through your mistakes, you know what I mean? It's really where like you can pivot from there, you know? It's like, how can you like take this mistake or this problem that you have and turn it into something good? Yeah. You know?
Backing off of that, what is the biggest mistake that you've made, or, you know, the company has made in construction?
It would most likely be financial, and it would probably be either getting loans to pay for things, as far as like to pay for new trucks and stuff like that when we didn't need it, you know, like buying a 2020 Ford Raptor at the age of 20, you know what I mean? And like not knowing that that's just like not useful. You can't tow a trailer with a Raptor. You can't put anything on a 5.5 foot bed with a Raptor. You know what I mean? It looks cool. Customers like it, but it's just what happens when you give a kid access to adult money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Also things just like you put, you know, a 20-year-old in charge of like finances and everything and what the company needs to make and spend. Like, of course, at that time, like I thought I knew it all and I thought I knew everything, and I was just super confident. I'm like, yep, we're going to make it happen, you know? But there's so much I've learned in the last couple of years we've owned this business that I'm just like, man, I wish I would have done things differently. You know what I mean? Like there's so many times where we just like barely made it by, and I'm like, wow, how do we still have a business?
Yeah.
You know?
How did you pivot from that?
How did I like learn from those mistakes?
Yeah.
A lot of prayer, a lot of conversations of you and I yelling at each other, a lot of conversations with my dad, you know? It's hard. Like, partnerships are difficult, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people warn me, like, don't do that, start your own, you guys can work together. And I'm like, no, man, like, I really care about Josh, I love him, and we're going to, you know, be successful together. And there's been some rough seasons for sure, but, you know, we've always made it work, and just, like, having those counsel of people you believe in, you know, iron sharpening iron, and just, you know, having those tough conversations and just figuring it out. And, like, I don't know, like, it's not losing faith, you know, it's having trust and faith in God, knowing that he's going to, you know, make a plan for you. And, like, God knows everything that's going to happen, you know, beginning to end, past and future. And, like, he knows what's best for us, you know. Like, ultimately, you just have to trust him, even if you don't agree or don't know where he's going with your life. You know what I mean? So that was huge for us.
So you touched on it a little bit, but what's one of the biggest ways that your parents have impacted your life?
I would say probably the hard working thing. Like, I saw my parents work hard. My parents have owned numerous companies and nonprofits, and my dad's pastored multiple churches. I've seen my dad just do a lot, you know? And I think that, like I said, instilled in me just to work hard. You know what I mean? You can do anything if you set your mind to it, you know, and you anything with God, I should say, you know? Yeah. Another thing is being a servant. Like, I was praying today, having a bit of a rough morning, and just praying in my truck on the way to a job site. And it kind of came to me, like, I was thinking, Lord, like, let me just be a vessel for your work. You know, like, I just want to pour into other people's lives and be a blessing and love other people. And, like, you know, like, I was thinking about, like, what our purpose here on earth is. And for me, like, that's to glorify God and point other people to Christ, you know. And it's like, the reality is, like, God created me. Like, I just want to be a vessel for his work, and I just want to serve other people. It's like, Lord, fill my cup so I can pour into other people. Mm-hmm. And, like, I feel like my parents did a very good job of doing that, of showing me that as an example, you know? Yeah. And, like, my dad talked about it a bit on his podcast, where, like, I mean, during COVID, they literally maxed out their credit cards helping other people, which you could say was, you know, good or bad. But, like, my parents just love people, you know what I mean? And I feel like that was a huge thing for me growing up, is, like, I just saw how much my parents love helping people, you know? Mm-hmm. And I wanted that for myself, because, you know, I see the importance of that. Like, I just want to take care of everybody, you know?
So is that one of the main reasons why you wanted to start a business?
You know, there's a lot of reasons. That's definitely one of them. Do you want me to go into some of those reasons?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'd say probably the main ones are just, like, working for crappy people, you know? Like, a boss can really make or break your job. You could have the best job in the world, and if your boss sucks, so does your job. And vice versa. You know, you can have the worst job in the world, but if you love going to work every day because you love your boss, like, it can make your job. You know what I mean? And, like, you know, you and I both know, like, we've worked for a lot of, unfortunately, not great bosses. And, like, we just wanted to have a company that was different. Like, we could be our own boss for ourselves, but to employ people, and we could be a great boss to them and give them a good, you know, and positive work atmosphere. Yeah. And I feel like that you just can't find that a lot nowadays. Yeah. Another reason was obviously the financial freedom. Like, I don't want to work for somebody, and I don't want to just like trade my time for money. You know what I mean? I want to generate wealth for ourselves and for our family, and to use to, you know, be a blessing to other people. But like my time, our time is worth a lot. And I don't want to be stuck working hourly to trade my hours for money. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to generate wealth, to have that financial freedom, to be able to help other people and be there for my family and do other things, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's kind of interesting touching back on the boss thing. Personally, I never thought I would want to be a boss. And looking back on it, I wish as an employee, I would give a little bit more grace and understanding to the bosses that I had.
yeah, I get that too. I got to say that I honestly feel like you're a better boss than I am. Like sometimes my brain gets so zeroed in on like finances and making sure things stay on schedule and stay in budget that like I just kind of have a short patience sometimes when it comes to job sites. And I feel like you have a lot more patience when it comes to the guys in our team. And I feel like you're just a lot, like I'm good at managing people, sure, but you just have a lot better way of doing it. And you're just a lot kinder about it. And you're a lot just straightforward, like, hey, man, this is a plan. You guys are going to do this and this. And, like, we like to have fun, but at the end of the day, like, we have a plan. We're going to get it done. We're going to bust it out. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just feel like you just do very good at that. You're very good at managing people and organizing people, but also making them feel important. And it's not like, hey, I'm your boss. Do what I told you to do. It's like, well, let's do this together.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
It's I think the way that your brain works and the way my brain works, it works really well together when we have separate duties. You know, like your brain works really good with the finances. It works really good with the customers when you're like talking to them about like how the job's going to go and prices, and even generating leads. Like I feel like that's where you flourish right there. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I'm really good at just like pulling money out of nowhere to cover expenses and bills and.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love marketing. I love talking to people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. My wife tells me I talk like it's on sale. You know what I mean? I never stop talking. Oh, man.
And one of our employees would say it's like you're talking because it's free.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I just like talking to people because I like hearing people's stories, and I just like, I want to be a sponge. I just want to soak up knowledge from everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll talk to a random guy at a gas station about his car. You know what I mean? Just because I'm just interested. It's just, I want to hear people's perspectives. It's like crazy when you think about it. Like you go through every single day, you know what I mean? And every single decision you make, every single thought you have, and you see these other people and you're just like, yeah, it doesn't affect my life. You know what I mean? But those people go through the same thing. They make the same amount of decisions and they do the same amount of things and they think the same. You know what I mean? It's like they have their own life and their own world. And like, I don't know, like that, when you think about it, it's kind of surreal, but it's also interesting to me. You know, I just want to know what people go through.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to help people.
It's kind of cool to think, I guess, just to remember that no one is like a main character, you know?
Yeah.
Like everyone lives their life, just like you were saying, you know, everyone has their own problems. Everyone goes through the same stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool to dive into people.
Yeah.
Going into kind of the financial aspect of our company, what's one thing that you would tell your past self, like starting a company?
Don't rob the business of its money. You know what I mean? Everyone likes to make more money, and you see that check hit the account, you're like, I could pay myself. And I think something that would have helped us out a lot in the beginning was if we would have just like paid all of our bills and then paid ourselves last. And people always talk about that, but it's not easy. You know, like I read a book and it was telling me kind of about like the grocery store, right? If you own a grocery store and you sell a can of peas, you know what I mean? And you sell it for 15 cents, you know, you're not making 15 cents. Maybe you're making 8 cents. You know what I mean? And if you do what people, it's really stealing, honestly. But if, say, your wife comes in and she's like, oh, I want a can of peas, but I'm not paying for it because my husband owns the store. Your wife leaves with a can of peas. Okay, you just lost 15 cents, right? So now you have to sell 3 more cans of peas to make up for that 1 can of peas. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, the reality is that, like, those businesses don't always last so long because you have people just, like, backdoor sales. You know what I mean? People just, like, taking more than the business can afford. And if your wife would just come in and pay for the 15 cents of the can of peas, the reality is that money would go back into the business and you'd end up making more money. I don't know where a grocery store that sells 15-cent can of peas is because I'd be there every day. That's, you know, probably $4. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Robbing the business is just, that's a big thing. Like, we didn't learn that. You know what I mean? And you think, like even my dad brought that up when we started the business. It's like, okay, the business pays for this and this and this. What do you guys pay for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, it's a weird thing because you just, like, once you get into taxes and, like, the CPA and digging on all that, you learn all these, like, legal tax loopholes and how how to write off like a home office because you do work at home and you have your office there. And like, okay, this is a meal with a client. Like I bought his lunch, but we had a conversation about his remodel and we went over our preliminary plans. You know what I mean? You can write that off. But then it just goes into so many things and it just creates issues. And then you just, you know what I mean? The company pays for too much and you end up robbing the company of all its capital.
Yep. I think that's something that we definitely did too much of in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of company lunches and stuff.
Buying a Ford Raptor was definitely part of that.
Yeah.
It was fun for a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's continue talking about the business. Where do you want Summit to be next year?
Next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Summit like big. I see us like doing like larger projects, like doing a lot of home additions and larger remodels and, you know, big composite decks or, you know, wood decks and a lot of interior and extra paint, but just like huge projects where we're on for, you know, more than just a week, you know. And I see you kind of stepping back a lot more from the day to day and spending a lot of your time just managing the team. And, you know, you and I meet in the morning, pray for the week, pray for the day, and see what we can do to set our team up for success throughout the week, throughout the day, and just get them everything that they need. You know, get them set up on a job site, and then you and I can go back and work on the business and honestly spend time with our families if need.
Yeah.
I think hiring our new project manager for lawn care is just going to honestly just launch the lawn care business and it's just going to exceed what my goal was for last year. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be huge. I think we're going to have a lot of consistent clients for that and a lot of consistent construction clients. And I think we're going to have quality construction clients and quality jobs because there's a big difference between a quality client and a non-quality client. You know, everybody that does construction knows that. You know, they're thinking of someone right now in their head probably. So, you know, I think it's stability and I think a lot less stress for you and I and a lot more just kind of like setting ourselves up, you know.
Yeah. So. I'm very excited for next year. You know, this last couple months have been the first couple jobs that we've done permits for, and that's been
not that we did jobs that needed permits that we didn't get permits. The only jobs we have done that have really needed permits, we should specify that.
Yeah,
because we're always legal about our jobs. It's not like we do things without permits. It's just that we've
never taken on that big of a job.
Yeah, we've never had to do 2 additions on the same home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't need a permit for painting someone's kitchen. You know?
Yeah, or doing some flooring or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited to get it down, like, you know. Personally, I'm excited to know the process and to not be, you know, super green in it.
Yeah, a lot of that comes with like writing SOPs for employees, you know, and a lot of that comes from just having systems in the business, you know.
So, who's been your biggest role model so far? Maybe for both business and life if it crosses over.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I have a couple. I would say probably the 2 biggest ones are my father, and I would say probably John Steigletter. He's been a huge role model. He was one of the groomsmen of my wedding. And just being able to look up to him. I mean, I worked for him for a while, and he owns a very successful painting company here in Grants Pass. And excuse me. And just being able to just talk to him and call him when I needed, you know, advice on life or business and get that opinion that's not related to my family, you know what I mean? And get that opinion of somebody who's lived, you know, more life than me, you know, and I really appreciate that from him. But also my dad, like we talked about, like the qualities and leadership that he's instilled in me, plug me in. Yeah, my father a lot, like showing me what it's like to sacrifice for a family and to be a good father, you know what I mean? And what it's like to go to work every day and work hard, you know?
Yeah. I think it's super valuable having him on the team. Like he's not super into the day to day, but to go to him with, you know, with a question, him to have not only the life experience, but also like the pastoral experience. Yeah. I think it's really good for the business.
Absolutely. I would say I have probably 2 other role models, you being one of them. Like before I met you, my life, it's not that it wasn't going anywhere. I just didn't have the mindset of like, let's make it happen. I was just like, okay, well, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. I'm never going to be able to move out of my parents' house. Like I'm going to be stuck working 9 to 5, check to check, or paycheck to paycheck for the rest of my life. And I remember you moving down from California and being like, hey, dude, you know, we're friends. Let's hang out. I'm dating your sister. We're going to get married. And I was like, okay. And you're like, here's the story. I got a month to find a place. You want to move in with me? I was like, I can't afford that. And you're like, yeah, like this is a rent. We split it in half. Let's find something. I was like, well, where are we going to find somewhere to rent? Like, I don't have 2 years. Every rental company wants 2 years of experience. Yeah. Someone out there tell me how that works. How am I supposed to have 2 years of rental experience if I'm trying to get into a rental for the first time? But you were just like, we're just going to make it happen. You know what I mean? Like we ended up finding some place that needed some work, and it was definitely a crappy house, but you know, we have a lot of good memories there. We spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of hangouts, a lot of bonfires, and that was a lot of fun, man. And you showed me this kind of mindset of like, I don't know, like kind of back to the wall. We're going to figure it out. You know what I mean? There's so many days where you and I lived there. I was like, hey man, can you pay for gas so we can have any money? And they're like, yeah, if you make dinner or if you buy dinner, you know what I mean? And those are some of like, I mean, I've been alive for 23 years, and some of those memories in the house are the best memories I have, and those memories I really hold on to. You know what I mean? Like, you really taught me a lot through that, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of times, especially in business, where I'm having a rough time or having a hard week, and you're just very strong in your beliefs and strong in how you feel, and you're very just encouraging. You're very just like, we're going to get through this, you know what I mean? And I would say Luke is another one. I'm such an emotional person. My eyes are watering. I will not cry. Luke's another one for me. He owns Willing and Able Construction, and I don't know. He's just such a loving person. He just loves everybody. Luke has this like look when you look into his eyes. He just kind of twinkles a bit, and he's just like excited to be alive and excited to talk to people, and he just wants to listen to people and talk and just love on everybody. And he just does such a good job at just being like a servant of God and a vessel for His work. You know, it's like I don't mean this is just him, but like when I look at Luke, like I see somebody who's an example of Christ and somebody who points people back to Jesus, you know? Yeah. We may not agree on everything. We may not have the same religious beliefs, but like if I'm having a rough time, I can always call Luke and he's going to make I know I'm going to have a good day after him. You know what I mean? Like he'll call me like, how's your day? I'm like, good now that you called me. You know what I mean? Like he's just such an encouraging person, and he's just always happy and always in a good mood and always ready to help anybody with anything.
He's almost like the embodiment of joy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a little ball of joy.
Yeah, exactly. When I think of joy, I think of Luke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of funny. I went to a counseling session, and the lady was telling me, she's like, you're kind of a unicorn. You know what I mean? She's like, you have so much optimism and forgiveness in your heart. She's like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, you're just like, she's like, where do you get that from? You know what I mean? She's like, why are you this kind of person? Obviously, there's other things that have made me that way, but a lot of times I think of Luke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he probably wouldn't agree with that, but like, you know what I mean? When I think of just somebody who's just super optimistic, like you said, a ball of joy, that's Luke. You know what I mean?
Yep. When he rolls on the job site, it's, hey, Luke's here.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time, you know? So I would say I've had a lot of role models, and there's a lot of people I look up to, but I would say that you four are pretty main ones, you know?
I think moving up here, and something that you've taught me is the power of connection. Mm-hmm. Like, you can do a lot with the people that you know. Mm-hmm. You know, not just using them.
A lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Like I would have never found that place to live if, you know, your grandma wasn't like, oh, we got this person at church who's looking for someone to rent this house. You know? Yep. And even getting my first job up here, I was like, Ben, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need a job. And you're like, oh, I just started this construction company. You can, you know, move up here and...
Yep, I'll get you a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something you taught me for sure.
Screw you. They ended up liking you way more. They gave you a promotion within 2 weeks of being there, and you got a company vehicle. I didn't receive a company vehicle till like a month before I quit. I was the golden child till they hired you. They loved you, man. Yeah. So... that just shows that you were meant to be the project manager, because clearly your on the job site skills were just way better than mine. You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when you think about it like that. You know.
It is. It really is.
I never thought about that, but you really just are better at that. You know, at working than I am, as far as like, you know, labor. I
think I don't know. I think it's good to understand people, and I feel like it's one of my good skill sets. You know. Yeah. So I want to talk about what businesses we've come up with, and kind of what's grown and what's kind of fizzled out for now.
Yeah. So if you know me, you know that I have a notebook on my desk full of different business ideas, because I refuse to not be self-employed, and I refuse to not have some kind of passive income or some kind of different income than just, you know, working at 9 to 5. Yeah, some kind of avenue. We started window washing for a bit. That didn't work out too long. We washed a couple places. We did a bank, a couple residential homes. I don't know how that residential home paid us, because those windows looked awful. At least the inside was not great. So that was one I was super stoked on. We spent the money. We cleaned the windows. It looked good. And then the bank job, we ended up having to like pay one of our good friends who owns a little window washing company to come finish it. And it was just like a mess. Like there's a lot of money, or there's a good amount of money to be made in window washing. But it's just not, we have a lot of overhead, and so it's not worth it for us, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we just had so many other bigger projects. You know, why would I take a $200 window washing job when I can go take a $12,000 interior paint job. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it was one of those things that like I definitely enjoy doing, and if we needed to fill in some space, I would. But we just got too busy to the point where it's like I just don't have time. You know what I mean? I'd rather you pay this other guy to do it. His windows are gonna look actually clean. You know. There's a couple other ones like commercial cleaning. Like we own a registered LLC for a cleaning business, and that's something that we probably will launch here in a year or so. Maybe by the end of the year, I've had some meetings in the past, or recently, I should say, with some project managers, potential project managers. I've already reached out to a vendor who wants to supply us with some chemicals to clean, and they're like super nice chemicals, and they're all like safe and pet safe and kid safe. I was gonna say organic, but I don't think they make organic chemicals. That's not the word I was looking for. So that's one of them. I don't know what else. What else we have? We have the construction business,
pressure washing company. That one kind of mixed with lawn care. I
guess. That one kind of morphed. Like we own a separate LLC, I think, for a Summit pressure washing, which I don't know why we ever had the idea to separate that. I think the idea of just owning different businesses is cool.
Yeah.
But that one kind of morphed with lawn care. But like, so if you call Summit construction and painting, or you call Summit lawn care, we're gonna come pressure wash. You know what I mean? We'll take care of it. We can do driveways, houses. You know what I mean? Decks, pretty much anything. But yeah, I don't know why we thought that was a good idea to have that separate.
Yeah.
So.
So Summit Lawn Care seems like it's starting to take off, especially with Jesse as our new project manager.
Yeah, we talked about closing that down. We almost collapsed that business a few times, man.
Very, very close.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Landscape businesses are hard. Lawn care businesses like those, they're difficult. Like you make a lot of money in the summer and you make not a lot of money in the wintertime. You know what I mean? And depending on where you live, you don't get a lot of sun. You know what I mean? You get a lot more rain, and it's just difficult. Yeah. People don't want to be billed out for you leaf blowing, you know what I mean, and not mowing their lawn, you know. So I don't know, that was kind of hard at first, but after a few years, I think we finally started to nail it down. We kind of assumed another lawn care business and hired their owner as our project manager, and so he's just done a fabulous job, man, at just like taking over and oops. I just broke the mic. He's done a fabulous job of just like, building our clientele, man. He's really good at upselling. He had this great idea. He told me, he said, how about we take $5 off everyone's monthly maintenance if they're willing to let us put a sign in there. And he told me, he's like, hey, discount, this lady for her thing because she let us put a sign in her yard. Mm-hmm. And like, we might not make any money from those signs, but that's brand
recognition.
Thank you. Brand recognition. People see that sign like, oh, Summit Lawn Care. You know what I mean? Like next time someone needs lawn care, they might refer you because they've seen that logo, 40 times driving up and down that road.
Yep.
And I just think that's a cool thing. Like Club Northwest does that. You know what I mean? You see those bumper stickers and those signs everywhere. Like that's someone I think has done a really good job with brand recognition. And I think those signs work great. But all that to say, he's just very motivated and he's just very smart when it comes to just knowing, what to do. Like this guy can look at a bush and tell you exactly what kind of bush it was and where it came from and how old it is. And I'm just like, that's green, bro. I don't know. I don't even know if it's green. I'm colorblind. You know what I mean?
Like a bush.
Yeah. I could cut it, make it look nice. I don't know. He just knows. He knows what time of year things need to be trimmed back. He knows what they're called. He knows how much water they need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows just how to help them. He's just talented, man. He's really good with talking to customers. He's really good at maintaining equipment. He's really good at just everything, bro. And he's just been a huge blessing. Yeah, I really thought that the lawn care company was going to collapse, man. But bringing him on has just been a blessing. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that goes back to just like who, it's not just what you know, it's who you know. And it's funny enough, like the story of how I met Jesse, we'll get into some other time when we have him on the podcast. But that was like, I don't know, 8 years in the making. You know what I mean? I didn't know when I first met his wife or met him that he was going to someday be the project manager for the company we hadn't yet started. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Speaking of brand recognition, we get recognized so much. And to me, it's so confusing because I'm just like on the job. I don't do any marketing. I don't, my face isn't present, present places.
Yeah.
And your face is, you do the marketing meetings, you do all the client relations, you do the men's breakfast, the contractor breakfast.
Yeah.
And so like I was in a flooring store the other day and a guy's like, Summit, I've heard that somewhere. Oh, it sounds like you guys are doing a really good job. I've heard you everywhere. I'm like, dude, I've never seen your face in my life.
Yeah, dude, it's a weird thing. It's kind of surreal, but I'm kind of used to it because growing up, everyone knew my father. You know what I mean? From owning businesses and nonprofits to pastor in churches, like everyone knew my dad. It was like, oh, you're Frank Matz's kid. Now it's transitioned. People are like, oh, you're Benjamin's dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, your kid's on Summit. You know what I mean? But it definitely is weird. Like I went to a house for a bathroom remodel, like giving him a quote just like a couple weeks ago. And they're like, how's your baby doing? I'm thinking, like, I don't know who you are. I don't know how you know I have a kid on the way, but I'm like, my kid's great. You know what I mean? Thanks for asking. Healthy baby so far. Hasn't been born yet, but, you know, if I could talk to him, I would, you know. But it's just a weird thing, bro. Like, well, just go anywhere, you know. Like, I went to a equipment rental place today. He's like, how's it going, Ben? I was like, huh? I don't know. Great, man. How you doing? Yeah, thanks for letting me rent your trailer. He's like, oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So.
Something weird that comes along with that we've talked about a little bit is people who we don't think know our brand that say that they see us everywhere.
Which is funny because I've never seen another company logo that looks like ours, and I've never seen a Summit Construction before. But the amount of times we go places and people are like, oh, I've seen your guys everywhere. I see your trucks everywhere. I don't have any trucks that are wrapped. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't have any wrapped company vehicles. The lawn care trucks got magnets. But, like, I don't get that. You know, you see a mountain and you're like, oh, yeah, that's them right there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not complaining. You know what I mean?
One place in Medford, I think it's Summit Dental, that has a pretty similar.
Yeah, Summit Dental. Yeah, that's a good one. But I've seen that sign, yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes you think we should get company wrapped vehicles. But there are a lot of people that wear our merch. Like, dude, that's one thing. Talking about brand recognition, we've passed out a lot of shirts and hoodies and hats and stickers and
pencils.
Pencils, a big one. And I just, like, I'll be walking around public. I went to Home Depot today, walked in, some guy's like, how's it going, Ben? Wearing my hat that I made, or that I, you know, paid to get made. And I'm like, hey, man, it's good to see you again. I have no idea who that guy is. No idea how he even got a company hat. I have no clue, dude. To this day, I have no idea where he got a hat from, because we only made so many. And it's not like I was just handing them out like candy. Yeah. You know? So that's kind of weird. But I always feel bad when I go somewhere. I'll even show up to church and my brother would be wearing a Summit hoodie, or my aunt would be wearing a Summit t-shirt. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or my uncle with a Summit hat. Or one of my employees is wearing their Summit t-shirt. You know what I mean? Yep. And then it's like, if I'm not repping the Summit brand, I almost just feel bad every time I go somewhere and I see someone else repping it.
I know. I feel a little weird repping River Grain Construction right now.
Yeah, but that's our boy, though. We love Carson. Yeah. We love Carson for sure.
I'm excited to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, dude. Sure. That's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah. So. Getting a little more personal. You know, you and your wife have a kid on the way.
Yep.
What's one thing that you want to tell your future self? You know, you're only a couple months away from being a dad. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you want to tell yourself for the future?
Have a lot of patience. You know, I feel like patience is huge. I would say in raising kids, but I've never raised a kid before. You know what I mean? But I would say
you're right on.
Yeah. I would say, like, watching you and my sister's parent and stuff, like, you guys just seem very patient, you know? And it just seems like a big thing. Like, there's a lot of time where the kid just doesn't know. You know what I mean? It's their first time walking. It's their first time living life. It's our first time living life. So I feel like patience is a huge thing. You know what I mean? Just trust the Lord and just have patience.
Yeah. That's definitely a good thing to keep in your mind. Huh. There's definitely been nights where, you know, Savannah and I have this much patience left, and, you know, our son just walks all over it. Yeah. It's just like one of those days that you have in, you know, when you're working construction, everything goes wrong. Yeah. And but I feel like you grow a lot in those moments, kind of like we were talking about earlier. Yeah. What are you most excited for?
Having a little me running around. Probably win more bids if I bring my son to a bid.
Yeah.
I'm really excited just to bring him to Home Depot with me. You know what I mean? Just go place with me and just show him life. Like, it's his first time living, and he gets to have all these experiences for the first time with my wife and I. Like, I am just more than excited, man.
Brand recognition for your kid.
Yeah, he's going to be repping some t-shirts, you betcha. Oh, yeah. Kids are going to have them at every age. So that's a huge thing. I'm just excited to just have a son, to build the family. Like, I told my wife the other day, like, I've always wanted somebody who's needed me. You know what I mean? Like, my wife's like, I feel like I ask so much of you. I'm like, no, you don't. Ask more. You know what I mean?
This is my bread and butter right now.
Yeah, I'm like, you want me to build you some custom patio furniture that's probably going to cost me just as much as buying patio furniture? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just love, like, a family that needs me and, like, wants me to be there. And it just, I don't know, it encourages me just to be a better person and a better father and a better husband and a better brother. And, I don't know, I just love that. Like, I'm just excited to just, like, encourage my son and be there for him every step of the way, you know, and hold his hand throughout life, and until I can't anymore and he's ready to make his own decisions, and I'm just going to be there for him.
Until he's holding your hand.
Until he's holding my hand and walking me to the bathroom, yeah. Or down the stairs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wrapping it up, what's some more business ideas that you have? If
so many, bro.
If you want to let them out.
Yeah, we can talk about a couple. My brain is so, like, how do I say that? It's so, like, entrepreneurial minded. Like there's so many things. It's like where people are like, hey man, like we flip cars. You know what I mean? It's like we're just gonna go buy a car and resell it, and then or buy a car for cheap and then go sell it for more money. My brain's always like, let's take it a step further. Should I open up a used car dealership? Yeah. Should I get my dealer's license? Should I do this? You know what I mean? Should I do that? Or should I go work at a dealership and be sales? You know? And so it's like one of the things that I have that I'm just thinking about or kind of daydreaming about or pipe dreaming about. Pipe dreaming is that a word?
Yeah, I think so.
Pipe dream? Yeah, that's a word. Is my wife wants to go to school to get a degree to be a nail tech, you know? And so her brain's like, yeah, I could just go work at a studio, rent a space, and do nails. My brain's like, I could buy a building, and I could have a nail tech there, and 4 nail techs, and I could be the one who owns the building that they pay rent to, you know what I mean? And not that I'd charge my wife rent, but I don't know, my brain's just always one step, try to be 4 steps ahead, you know what I mean? I'm just like, it's just like when you think of a building, like, right? Like this office right here, right? Okay, so who makes money from it? The landscapers make money when they take care of the property. That's one thing. The people who use the building, they pay rent to the building. We use this building to make money, you know. But okay, what else is there? Okay, there's the owner of the building. He makes money from all these people with doing the least amount of work. You know what I mean? He owns the building, you know. And so it's like that's who I want to be. I want to be the guy that owns it. You know what I mean? Not just because it's cool to own something, but that's the guy that makes the majority of the money or has the most freedom to do the most things with that product or that building, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't want to share all my ideas because I feel like a lot of those ideas are going to come to life here just in the next few years. So.
Yeah.
The closer we get to things and releasing new ideas and new businesses, I will share more of them, but I'm not ready yet.
Big things coming, huh?
Yeah. 2026, big things coming.
Yeah.
Oh man, so cheesy.
What's something this year that you want to make happen?
Something this year, as far as business or personal?
Either, because I know me personally, I've been, like my wife and I have made a commitment to be more present with our kid and to be more involved in church.
Yeah, I think those are both great.
I feel like they bleed into the business because, you know, we are the business. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see what kind of your things are, I guess.
To have both you and I in the business 100% debt free, I think is a huge thing. What's another thing? I would say help my wife rebuild her square body because that's kind of her dream truck, but I think it's more of just a year thing.
Yeah.
I would like to see ourselves having a more stable income so that we can focus on the things we want to do, like you wanted to be more in the church and more involved with your kid, but me also being more involved with my kid and just more involved in the community. Like there's lots of things I want to do this year, and what I guess we can talk about this. Painting houses. That helps a lot to protect a home, which could be someone's assets or someone's, you know, liability or someone's just like place they live. You know what I mean? Or it could make something look nice or raise someone's value of their home, appraisal value. And we've been talking about when summer hits and we have the time to just paint one home every month or every other month for free. You know what I mean? If the homeowner can...
Well, at cost.
At cost, thank you. If the homeowner can... that's for sure. That's a big one to mess up. Yeah. If a homeowner can stomach paying the prices for paint and will, you know, transfer discounts over to them, then we will paint it at cost and we will not charge anything for labor. Just because, like, you know, we know people that can't afford to get their house painted, but they need it because it's peeling or, you know what I mean? Like, they want to protect their home before it becomes more expensive to repair.
Yep.
Or there are businesses downtown, like a tattoo parlor that wants to redo the front of the building. And in my mind, like we're being a blessing to them by doing it at cost, because then they can afford to have a nicer looking space and bring in more customers and bring in more, you know, it's more cash flow for them, but also just help restore, you know, Grants Pass. Like it's going to help our town look nicer, which is going to bring in more people, which is going to bring in more tourists. You know what I mean? And
yeah. So. There's a business off of Rogue River Highway that I've wanted to paint ever since I moved here. Like every single panel on that is peeling.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it would be cool just to paint. I don't even care about the money. I just want to paint it.
I think there's going to be a lot of places we paint at cost. Just, I don't know. It just ties into just wanting to be a blessing to other people, but also just wanting to, you know, help restore this community and help it grow, you know? And I think a lot of people move out of town and move to different states and ask, you know, are you guys ever going to move? Probably not. I love Grants Pass. I love the community here. Yeah. I just want to pour into the community here and make it a better place to live, you know, a better place to raise a family.
Absolutely.
Know? And I think something as simple as helping paint a building is it's gonna go a long way. So,
well, big things coming for 2026.
2027.
Yeah, 2027.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun, man.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's definitely weird being on this side of the table and getting interviewed because I feel like I'm on the hot seat, but it's our podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see you sitting over there at my desk in my chair. You know, I'm sitting over here. It feels weird, but it's good.
You're sitting at my desk at the moment.
Yeah, the board table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I'm excited to do a lot more episodes this year and just talk to a lot more people and just get a lot of people's stories. I mean, this podcast is created just to learn from people and just to talk to people about their failures and successes and their business and just their opinion on life, really. Like I said earlier, I just really appreciate everybody who's just, giving us love and just supported the podcast, Like I don't know, I just enjoy talking to people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I enjoy just being able to record that and share that with the people so people could see that. Not to get too emotional and too deep, but people like testimonies, right? We all have our own testimony about how we came to Christ, right? And I feel like a lot of people go through a lot of rough things, And I was watching this video the other day, and he's like, "Listen, man, everything that you've ever been through, all the drugs that you got past, and all the issues that you've gotten past, like it's rough, man. But you gotta have to understand that your story was written that way, so other people don't have to go through that, or is written that way so the people going through that have something to look forward to." Mm-hmm. Like God used you in ways you didn't even understand at that time to be a blessing to other people. And I hope that this podcast can, in a way, help other people and be a blessing to other people. You know what I mean? And like, you and I have been through a lot. I mean, we're only in our 20s or early 20s, you know what I mean? Working our way to our mid-20s.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's experiences we've been through where people are going to interview on this podcast, experiences they've been through that can just help other people.
Absolutely.
Also,
just people local in the community. It's cool to hear from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you want to start ending statement? Do you remember what it is?
Yeah. There's a lot of nice people in this world. If you can't find one, then be one.